Hello, and welcome to our Dye, Spin, Weave Part 2 video. Today we're going to be spinning up our braid of fiber into both a thin and a chunky thick and thin type yarn. We're going to begin by dividing our fiber into smaller sections, and in order to keep our fiber all going in the same direction, you'll want to place a small knot at the end. This way you know that all your fibers, you're starting from the same end each time as you divide your braids. If you want a nice, thin, consistent, even yarn, I'd like to break my braids up into small sections. That way I have less fiber to work with. The first yarn that I'm going to spin is a thin single that we will then later chain ply and ply with our thicker yarn. I'm doing just a simple worsted kind of inchworm technique, pulling out small amounts to get a nice thin yarn. After I finished my single thin yarn, I moved on to spinning a thick and thin yarn. And I like to kind of let the fiber tell me what it wants to do. If it drafts easily, I can make a thin section. If it's a little harder to pull out, then I just let that be the thicker section. After I've created both my thick and thin yarn and my thin single, I'm going to take the two and I'm going to ply them together to create a chunky, bumpy art yarn with slubs and bobbles built in. Here you can see I kind of alternate between wrapping the right side of the yarn, the thick one, and the left side of the yarn. You kind of go back and forth to secure each little bobble that you make. just kind of whenever you get to a thick part, if you want that to be a little bit of a chunkier area, just let the the right side wind on more than the left. After I finished the chunky art yarn, I still had a lot of the single spun thin yarn left over, so I chain plied that into a 3-ply yarn. You can kind of see for chain plying you want to create a triangle, and you pull your yarn through that triangle, which gives you 3 strands that are then twisted together. When I'm finished, I have 2 types of yarn, a chunky art yarn and a thin 3-ply yarn, which you can see here. Next week, we will take these and weave them into a cowl. Stay tuned for part 3. Thanks for watching.